This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, folks. Just double confirming that everybody can see my screen. If somebody can just in the questions area just drop a chat line and say yes, oh beauty. Thanks folks, great. Okay, today's session is a OneSafe Solo, a plug and play device that streams data directly to your... Cool, let's get started. When this device turns up, I will just kill this off because it'll interfere with everything we're trying to do today. I do apologise for that. This device is that we sent to you today is a NUC that has a special piece of software on it called our OneSafe, but they call it OneSafe Solo. It's designed just to fit on a NUC. The NUC itself has our OneSafe software on it. For those who've never seen our Solos, our OneSafe software, please forgive me. The software looks very, is our new software, host-based, guest-based backup. So this thing wants to prepare itself to log in. It's already logged me in. And so basically it looks very similar to this. So you can see this is my private environment here in Brisbane. You've got your environment, so it's ESX or VMware. ESX, VMware or agent based. Very soon we'll have Hyper-V host based backups. We have some storage that where we want to back up to. We have the service nodes, sites where you want them. So I've got a couple of sites, Hyper-V sites. I have ESX sites. You have all your normal integrations. So it looks very similar to this actually. But the NUC, when it turns up, has a claim code on it, which is your licensing, and it's basically plug and play. So when you plug it into your network, it ends up getting an IP address. So if I click on here, I'll come down to this machine and I apologise, this one's a bit small to see, but I'll try to make it large enough so everybody can see it. And I go down to my DHCP server. You'll get the picture in a minute. And I go to the scope and I can go to reservations, and in here you'll see this bottom one here. It's my OneSafe Solo, so I gave it a reservation. Okay, gave it the router, DNS servers and whatever, but the reservation was for the IP address of 200.7. So that it always ended up with the same IP address, which is a pretty good move to have. Once it's got that IP address, it then basically goes and connects to a particular cloud. Sorry, I'll go to this one and I'll go back here. It's all here. And so basically it connects to this cloud here. Now this is the OneSystem.StorageCraft.com one. The account that I am using in here is the account that all of the engineers for StorageCraft use, including a couple of beta customers. And so if you have a look at this thing, it looks a little bit terrible because you can see there's 11 with communications errors, a couple with gRPC errors, and one with a cancelled job. One of those communication errors at the moment is mine, which is okay. We'll work on that. And so when you first get this thing, you log into here and you create for yourself an account. And when you create that account, and because we've got so many people logged into this one with the same account credentials, account credentials, it becomes a tad difficult to sort of sort things out. But when you log in, obviously you're going to create some information. So one of the first things you obviously do is you come in here and you create your site structured the way you want it. So the first thing I did was come into my configuration, and obviously when I came into here, environments is one thing. That's where you create your agents and whatever else. Storage is pretty useless until you create some sites. So I came into here with this and I created a site. And so you can see here, I'm in Brisbane. It has and don't worry too much about the default policy. You can add that later. But I created a site called Brisbane and a site ID. Now you might have in your environment, and forgive me if I pick on Queensland, but I might be based here in Brisbane and I might have a customer out at downtown St George. If anybody knows where St George is, it's out the back of Queensland heading towards the New South Wales, not quite the New South Wales border. There, between St George and the border is a place called Gundawindi, but we're getting out there. You know, it's out west quite a bit. Further west is a place called Colomulla. So you could create some sites under your registration, under your configuration, and the sites that you could create could be, you know, the towns, or you could create a site for your different customers. So you don't have to necessarily name them as towns. You could name them as your organisations. So you could have, and I always love to pick on Fred Engineering, and I also love to pick on June's Hairdressing and Jill's Bakery. So you could call your sites after the business names because it's your OneSystem that you're using. This is the global OneSystem that only you can log into. You can give other people usernames and passwords. Down here, you can go and create. All right. You can see here that we've got Bronson Harbour, who I'm logged in as Devo at StorageCraft. I could create a Jack Allsop one here, but you can see what's going on, okay? People can log in as various things. So this one is I'm logged in as Bronson, who is the owner of the demo.storagecraft at storagecraft.com one. You can create sub-accounts for your own IT people, all right? So then you come back into here and you can go and create the sites. The sites represent logically in your mind what it is and how it is you want to break it down. So I can create accounts for, or sites for my customers, all right? And you can then do what you need to do for those customers. So here I've just created one for Brisbane because I could actually rename that site to Fortitude Valley if I wanted to, because that's where my OneSafe Solo is sitting on my other desk over here, right? So once you create your sites, the other thing you need to do for the OneSafe Solos is create the agent registration tokens. Now this is a token that is used for when you register an agent against your OneSafe Solo, and you use the director certificate fingerprint. So those two things are needed. Cut and paste them into Notepad. When you go and put the agent on a machine to talk to my OneSafe Solo, your OneSafe Solo, you just cut and paste. All right, and I'll show you where they get cut and pasted into when you do the application. All right. All right, so once the machine has registered itself, all right, it becomes a service node. And you might get sick and tired of looking down through here, but here's the Brisbane service node. That is my OneSafe Solo machine. All right, it's running the latest firmware. It wasn't as of 10 minutes ago. It was running this one, the old version 30.4222. I'm now running this version here. Okay, so that is my service node sitting in the Brisbane site. Now you could imagine, please forget all the rest of these that are here, but I could have one, at IGA St. George. I could have one at Fred Engineering at Dolby. All right, they're the service leaders for the site. Now, let's explain what a service leader is in the configuration environment of StorageCraft OneSystem. This web page, for the sake of an exercise, is basically where I tell the OneSystem, I prefer to call this the director. The director here tells the service leaders what the heck to do. Okay? And so I can tell this service leader sitting in Brisbane, just beside me here in the Brisbane office, what it's going to do. And I haven't shown you parts of this yet, but we will get there. I can actually say to this OneSafe Solo sitting in the office here, here is your storage. And it goes, oh, okay, fine. Because the OneSafe Solo comes with no storage. It is intended to go directly to cloud. All right? And that's its entire aim. It's just to go directly to cloud. But I might say, well, you know what? That's all well and good. But some of the links in Australia, especially at Cunnamulla Way or St. George Way or the back of Burke somewhere or Carnarvon Gorges or, I don't know, guys pick a place, any place. East of Kalgoorlie, Karratha. Some of those types of places, the internet's like two strands of a barbed wire fence. In reality, pretty damn slow. And so I might say to myself, you know what, I might need to have a bit of storage. And that's okay. You can have storage. And so what sort of storage do I want to have? Okay. The NUC itself is designed, if you want to slip in a 1 terabyte laptop hard drive. I prefer the 7200 RPM ones. You can do that for yourself. Or you can do what the full-blown little girl does. Okay? And I can have, I can use iSCSI leaks, I can use NFS shares, SMB shares. These NFS shares are sitting on a OneSafe Solo. Sorry, not a OneSafe Solo, but a OneSafe. One of these devices. But in here I can show you where it is. It's just here. I'm using this to manage this at the moment. It's a OneSafe, a big device. You can see it here. You can see drive capacity, what version it is and whatever else. So if I go back to this other one here, over here where we're talking about Brisbane, I can have whatever shares I prefer. All right, I can have SMBs, I can have iSCSIs, I can have whatever I want, okay, just by attaching them. So I can create storage. But I also can, from the service, from this OneSystem, or director as I prefer to call it, I can say to the one in Brisbane, here's some extra storage I want you to use. And it goes, okay. What's the authentication mechanism? Yep, beauty. I can use that. And that's just for local storage, because where's the quickest place to do a restore from? Locally, obviously. You can do restores directly from the cloud, but across 2 wires of barbed wire fence, that could be a bit of a struggle. I've done it from the cloud directly to one of my Hyper-V machines or one of my ESX machines sitting here in Brisbane, and it works okay. All right, it's a bit slower than you would, no, actually quicker than what you would think it would do. But the service leader gets its instructions from the OneSystem, director system, and it then becomes totally standalone, do your job. And it goes, fine. All right, so the service leader does what it's a self-contained unit. Unless I say any more to it, it just says, all I want to hear from you is what you're up to. And that's what it does, okay? And so I can update it from here. I can, push out all the updates. You can see here that I can just upload the logs from here. I'm going to pick on one of these other old ones over here. See this one up here with the older firmware? All right. I'm not going to press the button to do it, but if I come over here, you can see upgrade to version 3.1.192-1 EL7. All right, and that's what I did to this one down here a little while ago. So that's on the service nodes. Obviously then, storage, you know, and I decided to add a bit of storage to mine, and I called it Bris Vegas, just have a bit of fun with it. You get sick of normal names. So I've got it sitting on a server, a Windows server, and it's got OneSafe Solo, and it's a hidden share sitting on the Brisbane server, and I've got 460 gig of view space, and there's 6 terabytes left. It's an SMB share. Is it encrypted? No. So it's sitting there. All right, sitting down on this server here somewhere on there. I'm not 100% sure which one is sitting on. There it is there. All right, so I'll leave that alone for the moment. You can see what's there. All right, we won't go into the details of that, but I've told my OneSafe Solo there is some SMB storage that you can use for local backups, and it's gone, okay, I can do that. And the environments obviously then is what environments have we got. So here the couple of blokes have used VMware. So they've gone and registered their they've gone and registered their VMware vCenter with their OneSafe Solo, and they've got 6 machines and 3 of them are protected. This guy's got 6 machines and 5 protected, and you can see over this side here, if we can clear it, but he's got 2 clusters, 1 host, 1 socket, no hosts ignored, no clusters ignored. This guy here has got 2 Windows servers, 5 Windows servers. He's got 5 total, 3 protected, and somewhere on this list I think I am somewhere, wherever I am. But anyway, if it gets too difficult in here to find your stuff, you know, this one's especially messy because it's used by so many, won't let you search on sites, which is a real pain in the nostrils, but this one's particularly messy, so you've got to go hunting and looking for things. So I can see the agent there, 1 total, 1 protected. So that's the sort of basic stuff you can do. You can set up integrations if you want, ConnectWise, create other users if you want, whatever. So that's the basics of it. So now we're going to go up here to the dashboard. Folks, the whole idea of this thing is plug and play. So the first thing you do is you plug it in, you get an IP address. You should make it either a static IP or a DHCP reservation, so it always gets the same IP. You come into here, you create your account, you then go, and when you get one of these OneSafe Solos, you get what's called a claim code. You type that in and it looks for that claim code and says, well, I've got a machine that's wants to use that claim code, and it automatically assigns. There could be, 200 of these things waiting to be claimed. It looks for your claim code and says, well, I found that. All right. And it adds it to your account. Any of the unclaimed ones you will not see until you type in your claim code. All right. You claim yours by the claim code. Once you've claimed it, it appears in your console. And so now you can go through and you can have a look. All right, so you can see the system activity here of what's going on. You can see this one's a bit messy at the moment, and that's okay. Total, we're using 13.6 terabytes, and if you click on this thing here, it's just going to drive you mad because it's going to go to all of these different machines, and eventually if I keep clicking, I'll see the Brisbane one. There's Bris Vegas. I'm using 460 gig. All right. Data change rates. Okay. 8.5 gig a day. Currently, big trough here, big spike here as the day starts to move on. And throughput. So, and you can see this changing at any one point in time. 35.6 meg at 11:48 a.m. and down here right now we're sort of getting a 1.21 megabits a second. Cool. So you can see what's going on. Now, obviously, once you've got your configuration all set up, the first thing you obviously need to do is go and create a policy. All right, that's just showing me what we're going to end up with, policies. So now, because this is a bit of a mess to see anything, I'm going to go searching for my policy. All right, so here is the Brisbane site, the Queensland policy, default policy. But Queensland is the Brisbane one, and it has one machine in it. And you can see the recovery point objective is every 30 minutes. The destination is Bris Vegas. All right, still got 5.5 terabytes free, 6 terabytes in total. And you can see here that I have 7 days of 30-minute recovery points, 7 daily recovery points, 7 weekly recovery, and 7 monthly. Why did I pick 7? I don't know. I just went 7, 7, 7, 7. No real rhyme or reason to this. It was just a testing environment to get a feel of what it can do. Think about this retention as you would Image Manager today. 7 minutes of 30-minute, 7 days of 30-minute recovery points may not be a good policy. So let us go and have a look. Over here you've got edit. Over here you have a remove. Over here you have a copy, and over the right hand side over here you've got a delete the policy, right? So let's go and edit this thing and make it a proper policy. Yeah, it won't let me shift it in the middle of the page, but anyway. Name is Queensland, I'm happy with that. Every 30 minutes I'm happy with that. Storage destination is Bris Vegas, yes, because that's mine, so I'm going to leave that alone. Keep every snapshot in days. So that's talking about the 30-minute incrementals. It would be nice if they retain the same names as we've used to, but keep every snapshot. So we're talking about the 30-minute incrementals. How long do I want to keep them for? Again, I'm going to ask you, what type of a server is it? And that's why it's important that you might decide what is this server actually doing, all right? Is it a domain controller? Is it a file server? Is it a SQL server? Because I can create multiple policies and put individual servers in those policies. It's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. So it comes down to, what am I trying to achieve? Okay? What is it I am trying to achieve? I will answer, folks, I did forget to mention, I will answer all the questions towards the end of the session. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few questions, and I'm more than happy to answer those. But we'll get back to the policies. How long do I want to keep these 30-minute snapshots for? How many days? Is it the domain controller? Is it a SQL box? Is it a file server? The answers are different, okay? Because if you have DCs set up in the correct manner, I would be going, keep the snapshots, the 30-minute snapshots, for probably 15 days. Keep the dailies for 15 days. Keep the weeklies, all right? I would keep them for 14 days and keep the monthlies for no more than 3 months. After that, it's useless to me, totally and utterly. It's called a tombstone. She's shot, dead and buried, no good to me. All right, SQL boxes. I would probably go keep the dailies for 14 or 15 days, the intradailies for 15 days, keep the dailies for 15 days, the weeklies maybe 7 days, and the monthlies for 12. All right, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, and that's what it comes down to. File servers, 15, 15, 45 and 12. Why? Believe it or not, you have to remember, particularly now in the current crisis we're all in, there have been reported cases of people being tempted to divulge personal information to some people that are a little suspect in their nature, you know, government officials who've been laid off, you know, because of their position, and that you know, the government's trying to save a few bucks, as does a lot of businesses trying to save a few dollars. People have been approached to say, hey, divulge this bit of information, I'll give you $100,000. It's been reported, and so, you know, people are trying to, have been tempted into doing that and deleting stuff and whatever else. So us as IT people, when something goes missing, who's the first person they're going to put on the chopping block? You and I, because we're responsible. So if you're not got audit trails there, and this is nothing to do with the OneSafe Solo, obviously, it's just personal history. You know, I know people that have lost their jobs and will never get a job in IT because they did everything right, but personal laws didn't allow for certain things, and they lost their jobs and not allowed to work in the industry ever again. Stupid, I know, but that's the way the law is today. It's the guilty are innocent until proven guilty, and the innocent are guilty from the word go. So you've got to watch out. So these numbers, folks, you need to really make sure you deal with that. And you will see here that I have local replication, back up to a local place, and then I've got this over here. So that means I'm backing up to an SMB share, and then I'm going off to the cloud. So you can see that down here. And I've got Queensland Garage, and I'm sending the files up to the cloud. All right. So if you have a look here for my storage, you'll find that I've got a cloud. I call it Queensland Garage because some people don't realise that all the cloud is my servers out of my garage are in somebody else's garage, but it's in the cloud, and they think it's better up there or something. So yeah, just a play on, you know, a bit of a joke that I have. Most people don't understand that that's what a cloud is, just a bunch of servers in somebody else's garage. So you can see what a policy looks like, and you can create many policies based on how often. Sorry folks, just a phone call. I just told them to go away. You're more important. So you can see, you know, what you can do with the policy, okay? And so we'll just cancel out of that. And you can have multiple ones, and you can do what they want to do. You can do all sorts of things. And so the policy is the most important thing. Then obviously, when it comes down to a policy, you can obviously then go down and pick your machines. I'll just turn the volume off on that phone, folks, so it doesn't annoy the hell out of you or me. And so then, therefore, you can come into, and I'll click this out of here, and then you can obviously go down and pick your machines that in the different sites that you have. Obviously all these sites don't belong to me, but you can see here that I've got this machine sitting in the Brisbane site using this particular policy. You just drop it into the policy and you pull it out of the policy, and you can change the policy. So over here I could change policy. All right, I could back it up now. Now I will tell you now that my NUC has been turned off for about 4 weeks. Okay, I've just fixed everything up this morning, and I'm just going to see if it'll back up now. It may or may not, but let's see what happens. So what I've done here is from the global console, I'm talking to this director. I'm talking down to the service leader sitting on the NUC next door, sitting on the desk next to me. And I'm saying to it, would you please go across and tell the agent sitting on this particular machine I need you to back up now. And you can see the last backup it did was back on the 20th of March, so I've missed April entirely and go from there. And I can go and test this too, by the way, see if it's actually doing anything. But if you look at this thing, you can see that there's a bunch of other information that we're gathering as part of the backup. All right, CPU, memory, NIC count, and boot type. And part and parcel of that information is the MAC address and those sorts of bits and pieces. Okay, so now we'll go over and we're going to have a look-see at the machine itself. It is this one. All right, so before we go any further, I'll just see if this thing's 59. No, it hasn't played the game at all yet. There. I've restarted this service after I updated it and cleaned it up a little bit, and using cached gRPC channel local address target name override, it failed to connect to leader tunnel. It's retrying. It's getting a lot further than it was this morning, where it just simply fails out miserably. These are the logs that give me some information. There is also another place that I can go to sort some of this out. So normally you go in here, and that is the global OneSystem that I go to. This is the local interface, so it is the same IP address, well, the IP address that the machine's using, but I've put 9090 on it to get me into the Linux console that most people would go, I don't want to go there. Let's go for a restart, folks. I just updated it all, but I've obviously put the new version on there, and it's now closed the connection to it, and we will just wait for 2 seconds. Make it easy for us so we know when she comes back up. No, we don't want to do that. I think it's good that we sort of get to this point. A little bit of troubleshooting never goes astray, does it? There we go. Down she comes. I just put all the updates on the machine, including, and this is a good part about this system, you don't need to be a Linux expert in any way, shape or form, because I certainly am not a Linux expert. If somebody said to me, how qualified am I on Linux, I would have to say 40%. I can fumble my way around. I am not an expert in any way, shape or form, and I don't profess to be. Good old Google helps me out, and so there's a bit of a notepad that I got running that I can go and interrogate certain logs to tell you what has gone wrong. The beautiful part about this particular system is there's one little button on the left-hand side, right-hand side over there, that when you talk to the service node in particular, if you go into here and you click on the service nodes, and you pick on your service node. Alright, you can actually go up into here and go to the support. Wrong one, Jack. Come on, mate. I wonder whether they've changed the location of this, because it's now totally in under environments, potentially, maybe, because the normal one I might have to double check that one, because in this one here, because it's based on the OneSystem itself, isn't it? See, in this one here, you come up to the dashboard here, and in here you can go support bundle, and it drops everything out and breaks it out into agents and this OneSystem site leader information, so that we can pull the logs apart. I'm pretty sure in this system they can do the same thing, pull the logs out. If you lodge a case, they can actually request the logs for the agent. The OneSystem that you're using, if I go back up here, the service node, they can pull the information directly from here, from the back end, and get the information out. I think it's here. No. If you configure the external address properly, they can pull the logs directly out of the back end and troubleshoot your problems for you. So let's just see what happens if I go reload here now. Yes, good. It'll either log me in or tell me I got the wrong name. There we go. Still loading some stuff here, but if you come up here, folks, you can see this is what they call the Linux or the Centos Cockpit, and it gives you a nice simple way of dealing with stuff that, as a Windows guy, we don't know what this is. You can do anything in here that you can do at the command line. It's the same sort of control. So you can see here, like, I can change the host name, I can join it to a domain if I want to. I can do a few other bits and pieces. I can have a look at the logs for it. All right, error and above, I can see what's going on here. I can have a look at the storage. All right, so I can see what's going on in terms of the local stuff. It says no FS mounts set up yet. I have created it, but I haven't used it. Networking in particular is a good one to have, because in certain places you do need to modify this. So if I click on this one, okay, you can see that it's not using a standard MTU size, because the Americans love to send them out with a 1500 MTU size that is not allowed to fragment. So I basically go in there and I change it to 1472, because if there's a layer 2 between Australia and America, which we all know there's 100 of them, there's not a lot of chances that the traffic's going to get through. So I always change it to 1472 to allow it to get through. Okay, and then I got the records put through. That's the local domain. Then you can go and have a look at services, and after a while you get used to seeing what services are running, what they look like, and bits and pieces like that. Applications, diagnostics, and whatever. Service updates is what we just did. System is up to date. This is the stuff that was updated today, and as you can see, there was one or two packages there that needed to be updated. You know, from there all the way across over to here with Xsafe, a bucket load of them, and good old terminal. All right, so for those who want to log in there, you knock your socks off and away you go. All right, when you build, when you fire this thing up, there is a default username called root, and the password, when they hand it across to you, they will tell you what that password is. You can change that to suit yourself, folks. All right, and so then you got this dashboard, so you can see exactly what's going on. You know, network traffic and disk I/O and yada yada yada. So I'm just going to log out of root, and we're done with that piece of the puzzle today. All right. All right. So. All right. So now let's go back to our protection and let's go and see how poor old Brisbane is going, or Brisbane. Please remember, folks, that when you set up your sites and structures, logically set them out the way you want them, because to search through anything in here the way this one's been set up, it's just crazy. All right, it is just literally crazy. So I just want to see if this thing's now talking properly to so what I'm going to do here first, folks, is I'm going to stop and restart the service. No, actually, before I stop and restart the service, when you install the Xsafe agent, folks, there's two services, and for the sake of the exercise, most people would be comfortable with what I'm about to say. This is the StorageCraft agent. So in SPX terms, this used to be the SPX service, and this is now the StorageCraft agent. So the agent here is functioning pretty much the same way. Okay, so it's the StorageCraft agent, because that's what we're using in this instance, an agent piece of software. And then if I just click down through here, you'll see vSnap VSS. So it functions pretty much the way that SPX did, except there's no GUI, you can't control it. The installer is one of these, which may also at the moment be causing me a grief, but I am running version 3, so it may automatically just update itself at the next available opportunity, and we'll see what happens. But it functions pretty much the same, except it's dealing with the sector structures slightly differently, and sending out the backup stream in a completely different manner, so that if you stick it on something that understands dedupe, it will dedupe dramatically. I can show you what that looks like on another device. On that Windows server, obviously, the backups that are going to that, you'll see that as well. So it looks pretty much like the SPX services. In terms of functionality, yes, but in terms of what it actually does, no, it's quite different. So folks, if you don't mind, I'm just going to stop this. And I am now going to restart it. I just want to look in this log here to see 12:15, 12:16. Yeah. That doesn't require. Registered with director ID, host name, failed to connect leader tunnel. It's getting closer. Hasn't been running for a month, folks, so it's probably going to have a few little issues at the moment, but we'll see how we go. All right, so back into here, and we'll see what happens. I'll just see if it'll do one for us, folks, and if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I will play with it and get it working. I should have double-checked yesterday, and I do apologise. I can show you what the other one looks like. They look the same. However, we can then just move on and see exactly what it is doing. All right, we'll see if that happens. Normally you can just click on here and you can see exactly what is happening. So this one's obviously quite a few days out of date. Create snapshots, scanning extents, transferring, we'll do an incremental, creating a recovery point and cleaning up. So you can see the concept of what it's trying to do. I think this one still needs a bit of time to catch up. And then down here you can actually see the backups themselves that are happening every 30 minutes back then. This one here was because of a bunch of updates that happened. But everything else you can see, the 30-minute incrementals were, you know, a certain size, you know, less than 20 meg, most of it. All right. Consistency. What does that mean? It means it's application consistent inside of the operating system because we are actually making it BSS aware. Okay. And then obviously the collapse, that's locally. All right, how much we're using in the terms of storage locally. All right, and this is the one that we have replicated to the cloud. All right, so there's a cloud backup sitting there because it's the Queensland garage. Joke, I know, but anyway, just call that the cloud. And there's a collapse daily that has gone to the cloud. And if you roll down through here, there should be another one. All right, and you keep going down through the list and whatever else, you'll see others appear. So you can see the activity that's going on, right? So while we're waiting, if that will catch up, but it may not, let's just pick on this one here, right? We'll tick on the box there, and I'm using the local recovery point here, obviously. And you can just go over here, all right? And you can go recover, all right? What other choices do I get over here? Delete the recovery points. And I don't think I want to do that. And I can go recover. Now here you get two types of recovery. All right, this one won't allows me to go instant restore with virtual boot with vSphere if there was one registered in this system. I don't have one registered in this system, but let's, you know, I'll show you what it looks like in the other one. Instant restore with virtual boot Hyper-V, full restore to vSphere, full restore or recovery agent restore. So I can boot off a recovery CD which is Linux based and works, it actually works quite a treat, all right? So I can do that, all right? So it says here we're going to do a vSphere one, or I might pick the Hyper-V one, right? And it's already picked the Hyper-V host for me, all right? Somebody else's by the looks of that. None of mine are registered in here, so you know, I could pick the vSphere one, and does it give me any? No, it doesn't give me anybody else's, but in Hyper-V I've got a bunch of them. I could pick somebody else's if I want to. And it automatically says, well, I'm going to use this host. There's a bunch of other ones that I could have used, but none of them are mine. So we might not go too far down that stage, but we can go and have a look at file recovery, okay? And it says loading recovery points. Now in the console here, because I am a little bit remote, it takes a few minutes and you can just load up the recovery points, pull the file out that you want, pick the disk you want, the file you want, zip it up and stick it on your desktop. That's one way, obviously, of doing it. The second way of doing it is to stand the machine up like we were going to do before and put it on a separate VLAN and pull the files out. The third way is to stand the machine up. If I go back over here, the third way is to stand the machine up but don't automatically turn it on, and then connect the VHDX file, attach it to, restore it to one of the Hyper-V servers where you want to, and then attach the VHDX file to a machine and basically just pull the files out of it that you want. So it might be in a SQL database and you just attach it like that. So with your permission, I'll just go back over here for a few minutes and I'm going to go down to protection. All right, and it's the same thing here. So that exact same server, I am backing it up at the host level. So that one that is under protection over here, that butt thing, that's at an agent level, and this is at a host level, this one. All right, and you can see the difference, agent and host. All right, so that's a VMware, and you can do that too with a OneSafe Solo, folks. You can put in the environment as a VMware environment, and you say I can back up those machines. So there's all the VMware ones I can back up on the environment of ESX, VMware vSphere. So we could do that. Actually, let's pick on this one for the hell of the exercise. All right, so I'm going to pick on that one. All right, it's all healthy, and yes, if you hit back up now, it'll do it. And yes, you can see here that, thank you, Michael. You can see that I can press back up now and it'll do what it wants to do and whatever else. And so this one here is the ESX policy. I just want to show you this. So let's take an average here. Let's say average of 20 meg every half an hour, roughly. And we'll go down and we'll pick the agent one. All right. So here's the agent version of the same server and its backups. All right. So if you give me a little bit of license here, I'm going to try, I don't know, everybody agree, about 27 meg, give or take. So we've got 7 meg at the agent level and 20 meg at the host level. And both of them are consistent. Both of them are fully restorable. Both of them will not have USN rollbacks, which is pretty cool. But anyway, let's just click on one because I know we've got to wrap this up in a couple of minutes and I have a bunch of questions to answer. And so I can go recover over here. And it says, now you'll notice here that mine says instant restore with virtual boot and it says red. That is because I'm having trouble installing the VAIO driver on my 2 ESX machines, and it's not because of my ESX machines, it's because of my vSphere server is not updating correctly. I finally got to the bottom of it and I need to do that, but I can do a full restore to vSphere. All right, and then in here I can pick the cluster and I can say, oh, you can use this one. And it's yellow because it's pushing daisies at the moment, but I can use this one and I can pick the data store that I want to use and I can pick all the bits and pieces, and I'm going to go to the LAN network, keep the original MAC address, power on after it, there's its, and it'll keep everything that it needs, right? So you can do all those sorts of things. Here I can also do instant restore to Hyper-V, and which Hyper-V server do I want to use? I might pick I'll have to pick this one, all right, and migrate the data to this one, folks. And by the way, I'm not going to do that because that is my AD server. I would probably not turn it on, but this is how I migrated the AD server from AD from the Hyper-V to ESX. I did exactly this. And it fired up, and within 30 seconds I was actually talking to my AD server completely, doing AD calls against it. It took another 2 or 3 minutes for it to fully populate it, but that's because of some patented technology. That's how we were able to stand it in 30 seconds. The States talk about, 10 seconds or 5 seconds or something because they got much bigger pipes than I've got. I've only got a one gig network here, but it's pretty clever technology, the read ahead technology we do to do this. But yeah, you got the same things. All right, if I go file recovery here, I like doing this one. It's a bit tricky. Not tricky, it's a bit fun actually. You'll see some stuff you've never seen before. God, my network's slow today. That's what you get for working from home. It gets lazy on you. It's real lazy. Basically, when this loads, you will see that there will be 2 volumes. And when I pick on the 2 volumes, you will actually see a bunch of files and directories that you've never seen before, like file allocation tables. People just look at that and they go, what is that? MFT dollar? Stuff like that. It is pathetically slow today. And while I'm waiting for that, folks, I'll go across and answer a couple of questions. So bear with me, please, folks. Whoa, there's 1 or 3 of them little suckers there. So well fill in time, all good. Yes, 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 all good. Yes. Chris has asked a question a bit. How about AHV KVM on Nutanix? Chris, a lovely question. The answer is, will we support KVM eventually? Absolutely. Time frame? I would not like to get your expectations up, Chris, at this point in time. I don't believe it's too difficult a task for us to do that, because our cloud services that we currently use is KVM. All right, our cloud services has always been KVM, so we understand KVM. We understand how to take an SPF, an SPI, or these backups, and I'll quickly show you what those backups look like, and I'll come back to that for 2 seconds, but I do need to answer Chris's question. In here, these are the backups for Shadow Safe, or OneSafe, Solo, whatever you want to call it, right? And so you can have a look at the GC stuff, nothing much in there. Image is more important. Pick a folder, any folder. You look for today's date or somebody else's date. It doesn't really matter to me at the moment. But if you look at this, this is the image files. All right, these numbers mean very little to you. That's the metadata associated with it, and that's the image reference and the point reference, which if you have a look down here, that's the point down there that's pointing to, and here's the image, and there's a bunch of data in there, and see, there's the data. That's 1.25 meg in that particular backup. All right, so all this information that is stored in this image folder is actually disk information in raw format. Okay, so it's a disk. To convert that disk information from track 0 to track 64 or whatever the case may be, to convert that to VHD, VHDX, VMDK, all right, or to anything else, is not difficult. It's all the problem is, how do we talk to those things is the problem. And so we as SEs, we as salespeople, we as anybody that's got anything to do with it have said, well, you know, how about Nutanix with their Acropolis, which is a variation of KVM. And they've gone, yeah, absolutely, that's on our roadmap. But I'm not sure when, Chris, I apologise. If you'd like to submit on our page, on our StorageCraft.com, and get all your workers on all different IP addresses to add that in as a suggestion for a upgrade or for an idea to go through, you get our full support. Because, yeah, absolutely, we'd love to be able to talk to Nutanix, because in some of the smaller end of the SME environment, higher end of the SMB environment, they're using Nutanix all the time because it is a good environment. And, you know, we don't want to sell hypervisors We just want to work with hypervisors. So, Chris, it is on our roadmap, but I can't say when, sir. I hope that helps with that answer. Good question. I just need to get the young gentleman's name. I hope, Sia. Okay. Mr. C has asked a question. If I have a machine going directly to, I don't have any local storage at all, okay? And I choose not to buy local storage. How about we go down that path? Okay, so I'm just going to hide this over here so I can see. This is my policy, right? And I edit the policy. Ignore the fact that I have replication here. Ignore that fact entirely. So this part of the equation over here, this part of the equation doesn't exist, okay? All right, so my storage destination is where? Okay, I'm going to go straight to cloud. So somewhere in amongst all of this thing, I've got cloud something or other. I think I called it garage or something. Okay. So all I'm doing is going to QLD garage. All right. So up here, instead of Bris Vegas, I'm going directly to the cloud. All right. So if I cancel out of that and I go add new policy, all right, storage location is Queensland Garage, all right? Replication and retention settings for policies that backup direct are managed from the Cloud Services portal. A policy that snapshots directly to the cloud more than once a day provides for the current delay of the current day a single recovery point for that last snapshot taken, okay? So you may choose to snapshot it every 30 minutes, okay? And you might replicate every 30 minutes to the cloud, which is fine, but in the cloud we will produce the once only recovery point that represents the last backup of the day before. All right? You can go and create manual ones for yourself based on the current cloud services agreement that you have. Okay, so you can be sending all 30-minute incrementals, it's not a problem. Okay, that's what you can do, and you just go to current cloud. So you just go into your normal cloud portal via this. This is a standard MSP account, folks. There's nothing different in this at all. I'll use this test account for the sake of the exercise, and I'll come in here. The account that my Arcserve Solo is trying to replicate to, by the way, folks, and I just realised it just then, doesn't exist because my accounts were destroyed about 2-3 weeks ago when they tried to fix the way I log into my accounts. Never quite worked, so that's probably one of my other reasons. But at the account level, you go in here to retention and you choose your retention policy. So based on what you choose inside of here is what you then get to choose. Sorry, folks, when you're in here and I want to create a new policy, and I'm going to go add new over here, and I'm just going to do this. Okay, I'm going to go snapshot every 30 minutes. Good grief, Jack. Go and add a new one, and replication, I don't want any replication. I want to go to my cloud. Where is it again? Queensland Garage just was there. There it is. See how everything else disappears? And you can use a C drive by default, but all those settings are set up in the cloud, and that's how you deal with it. Okay? See here, I hope that answers that question for you, mate. Next question. Will the shadow safe backup file images be encrypted by okay. I think I understand this question, and please, if I don't, see her again. He's asking too many questions, this seer bloke. All right. When we go and create policies, okay, so if I add a new policy, you can see here that there's not a lot that I can offer in terms of encryption, okay? It is not something that is in this current version. Very soon it will be part and parcel of the new version, okay? So if I go and have a look at, let me just double check here, not the Queensland Garage one, where's the Brisbane one gone? It's very difficult to find things in this busy thing. So I go edit. You will see here that there's no encryption types whatsoever, okay? The backups themselves currently on this system don't allow you to have encryption or compression at this point. It's just not there. The new version coming through is going to allow that to be done. But again, I would suggest that you, depends on what you're trying to deal with it, as long as you protect it correctly, using the same old technologies we've always used, if it's sitting on an NAS or a local disk or whatever, as long as you protect it in those manners, you're doing the best you can. When it's in replicating to the cloud, it's replicating on an encrypted gRPC port, so the transfer from your OneSafe Solo to the cloud is encrypted on a gRPC port across to the cloud. Locally, it's stored in those file formats that I was showing you. They can also, if you want to, in the newer version, you will be able to encrypt all of this as well. But if you do encrypt all of this and you're sticking it on a device that understands dedupe and compress, you need to understand that you may or may not get compression and dedupe if you're using a device that understands that as well. So there's a trade-off in both of those areas, but the newer version that is coming out, if not out already for the OneSafe Solos, will understand how to do encryption and compression. Not currently at the moment. Okay, so, but yeah, the same old standards apply. The cool. Okay. All right, folks. Where were we? I think we were looking at we were looking at one of my systems. somewhere along the line here. Mine, where did that go? There. This is my domain controller. Disk 1, because it's got the 2 volumes, I know that's the system reserve partition. This is the C drive, so this is the volume I'd prefer to show you at this point. That's where Active Directory is sitting, and if you open that up, no supported files found. Yeah, right. Don't believe that one myself, but anyway. Down here you can see $MFT and $MFT mirror. They're the 2 file allocation tables, okay, that they use. You can see a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a VSM000.idx file. That's obviously an SPX thing or a shadow safe agent. All right. Then you can go into a bunch of other different directories and have a look at bits and pieces. Interested why this thing says no supported file systems found. Obviously we'll have to investigate that one. Don't like that idea. So it's not consistent, but that's all right. You can go up here into this one here, and there's all your Windows stuff. Again, you can see bad clusters, bitmaps, and MFTs and stuff, and obviously you can go into program data. We're going to go into StorageCraft. And Xsafe. And we're going to go into common, and it's that particular file that's in common is the one that defines that common file there. So we're on ADO2, so let's go to ADO2 very quickly, and that's the common file that is on ADO2 that tells me the service node that I'm talking to, the gRPC, director certificate, authentication, site registration, agent tunnel ports, a whole bunch of other bits and pieces, and that's what the agent uses to be able to talk to its appropriate service leader director address and bits and pieces. So having an understanding of what's in here is very, very useful to you. Okay. All right, folks. I think from that perspective, are these things useful? Absolutely, because you can send them out to remote sites and you don't have to follow it. You just say to the people, please plug it into your network. And once they plug it into the network, you already have some access to that network. You can find out what the IP address of it is because you've got access to the router, which is acting as a DHCP server. And you go, right, fine. All right, that's all you need to do. And you've got it all worked out from there. So they're a great idea for those really remote places to get stuff replicated around. Get it replicated up to our cloud and you can go from there. Great solution, in my opinion. So talk to your sales reps, see what you can get in terms of the way they can talk to them. You can have, 10 machines backing up to this thing, a server, 2 servers, 5 of their workstations, and get it all replicated. And that's the way it's designed to work, folks. Okay. At that point, folks, if you don't mind, thank you very much for your time, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.